Good morning, welcome in RN Culinary Scholarship chapter number 6 Post Mauryan Developments. In the last chapter, you read about the Mauryan Empire, which was spread over a large part of the Indian subcontinent and also include Kandahar in modern Afghanistan in around 187 BC. The Maurya Empire made its end. The present section we shall study about the political and cultural developments in the Indian subcontinent from the end of the Mauryan to the rise of the Guptas from BC 200 and 300 AD. In these 500 years, we see not only the rise of power, multiple power, multiple multiple power multiple um, powers in different parts of the subcontinent, but also introduction of new features in art, architecture, and religion. After you study the lesson, you will be able to learn about the different political reasons which came into focus after decline of the Mauryan Empire. The group of foreigners who came from Central Asia and got settled here, the growth of trade between the Roman world and India and its impact. Important feature of various schools of art sculptures which emerged during 200 BC to 300 AD and the early history of South India and the significance of the Sangam literature. Polity, Political history of North India. The disintegration of the Mauryan Empire led to the rise of many regional kingdoms in different parts of the country. At the same time, we witness inventions by various group of people based in Central Asia and Western in China. These were Indo-Greeks, the Scythian or the Greek, the Parthians mm, or the Pallavas and the Kushanas. It was through such political process that India came in closer contact with Central Asian politics and culture. The Shungas, the last Mauryan king, was killed by his commander in chief, uh, Push, uh, Pushmitra Shunga, who then established his own dynasty in North India. It came to be known as Sangha dynasty. While the Sangha were ruling North India, the Indo-Greeks, also known as Yavanas, about whom we shall study in some details later, emerged in bacteria bulk as an independent power and soon started extending their rule in northwestern and northern part of India. There are indications that Pushmitra Shanga came in conflict with Demetrius, a Bactrian Greek ruler, without suffering much political damage. And inscriptions engraved on a pillar at Vasnagar, present day Vidhasha, refer to one Heliodorus, native of Takshila uh, near Rawalpindi in Pakistan, in as an envy of Indo-Greek ruler uh, Anti, uh, Antila Kitts in the court of Bagambhadra, who has identified with one of the latter Sunga ruler. According to the inscription, he was devotee of Lord Krishna in around the second quarter of the first century BC. The last of Sunga ruler was killed uh, treacherously by minister Vasudeva, who then laid down the foundation of the Kanva dynasty. We know virtually nothing about Kanva except for the rather cursory reference to them in latter text. The Bactrian or the Indo-Greeks After the death of Alexander in 300 to 203 BC, many Greeks came to settle on the northwestern borders of India with Bactria area to northwest of uh, Hindu Kush mountain in present-day North Afghanistan as an important center. The ruler of Bacteria came to be called Bactrian Greeks because of their Hellenistic Greek ancestry of one of the rulers of the line named Demetrius, as mentioned above, came into conflict with Pushumitra. However, the most celebrated Indo-Greek ruler was Milinder. His empire appeared to have included southern Afghanistan and Gangdhara, the region west of the R Indus. He has been identified with King Milinda, mentioned in the famous Buddhist text Milinda Pao, which contains philosophical question that Milinda asked Nagashena, the Buddhist author of the text, and informed us that impressed by the answer, the king accepted Buddhism as the religion. Malandar, he believed to have ruled between 155 BC and 130 BC. The Shakas. Shaka is an Indian term used the people called Scythians who originally belonged to Central Asia, defeated for their neighbors, the tribal stock to which the Kushanas belonged. They gradually came to settle in northwestern India around Takshila in the 1st century BC. Under the successive Shaka rulers, their territories extended up to Mathura and Gujarat. The most famous of all Shaka rulers was Rudraman, who ruled in the middle of the 2nd century AD. His empire was spread over almost the whole of Western India. His achievements are known through the all the inscriptions that he got engraved on Boulder Agimar or Jun- Junra. This inscription happened to be first royal inscriptions of early Indian composed in uh, caste Sanskrit. The Parthians. The Parthians were Iranian origin, and because of a strong culture connection with the Shakas, these groups were referred to in the Indian source as Shaka Pallava. The important inscriptions indicating the Parthian rule in northwestern area of Pakistan is the famous uh, Takht-i-Bahi inscription recovered from Mardan near Peshawar. Um, the ruler, some literary sources associate with him uh, um, Saint Thomas, who is said to have converted both the king and his brother to Christianity. The Kushanas. The Kushanas originally belonged to Western China. They are also called Yush Chinese. The Kushanas, after defeating um, Shaks and Pallavas, created big empire in Pakistan. The first prominent ruler of the Kushana dynasty was Kujala Cadphidius. He was succeeded by his son Vema Kodpini's next ruler was Kanisha. He was the most famous of the Kushanas. He probably ascended the throne in AD 78 and started a new era, now known as Shaka era. It was under Kanishka that Kushina's empire reached its maximum territory limits. His empire extended um, from Central Asia to North India and included Varanasi. Kushinaries, uh, uh, Kushambi, uh, and Kushambi and Saraswati in Uttar Pradesh. The political significance of Kanishka ruler lies in the fact that interrelated Central Asia with North India as part of a single empire. It resulted in that integrated Central Asia with North India as a part of a single empire. It resulted in that in that interminating of different cultures and increases in inter-regional trading activities. Kanishka is a famous in history as a greater patron of Buddhism. He convinced the fourth Buddhist council at Kundalwana, present-day Harwan, near Srinagar in Jammu and Kashmir, in in large number of Buddhist scholars took part. It was this it was in this council, and Buddhism got split into two schools, uh, Hinayana and Mahayana. Kanishka also uh, Kanishka also uh, patronized the Gandhara and Mathura schools of sculptures. Uh, sculptures Mathura sculptures art, about which you will learn later in this chapter. He built in the city of Purushpura, present day Peshawar, his capital. Later in this chapter, he built in the city of Purushpura, present day Peshawar, his capital, a giant stupa to house the Buddha relics. The building was still intact, that with all its magnification. When the Chinese pilgrim Fa Hin visited the area later in the early 5th century AD, the Kushana power gradually declined from the early 3rd century AD. Kushana polity and administration. Nothing much is known about the administrative machinery of the Kushanas. Perhaps the whole empire was divided into provinces, each ruled by uh, Mahakshatrapa, a military governor who was cited by Kasturpa. But how many provinces were there in the empire is not known. Sources indicate that Kushana horseman wore trouser while riding. A headless statue of Kanishka found at Mathura reflect the same. A prominent feature of Kushana polity was the title of Devaputra, a son of God, used by Kushana kings. It indicates the claim to divinity by the Kushana kings. Um, uh, Contribution of the Kushanas. The Kushanas occupy a special place in the ancient Indian history uh, because of their contribution to various aspects of life. Their vast empire helped in the growth of internal and external trade. It resulted in this rise of new urban and centers. The rich state of economy under the Kushanas is also evidence by the large number of gold and copper coins that they struck. Even in literature and medical, India made progress. Charaka, known as father of Ayurveda, wrote a book on medicine called Charakshita, whereas Ashwagandha, Buddhist scholars wrote uh, Buddha Charita, a full length biography of the Buddha. Both these schools were believed to the contemporaries of King Kanishka. The Kushanas patronized the Gandhara and the Mathura schools of sculptural art, which are known for producing the earliest images of Buddha and Bodhisattva contacts with Central Asia. In invasions of the bacteria, Greeks and Shaka Pahlivas on India and its subsequent political contact with Central Asia under the Kushanas resulted in immense culture intermingling between the two regions. These foreign groups gradually lost their foreign identity and were intercepted in Brahminical society lower grade as Castilia's many of them adopted Buddhism. We have already referred to the Indo-Bactrian ruler Menander, who was converted to Buddhism by a monk named Nagsena. Central Asia contact also brought to India a new method of making coins. The crude punch-marked coins, which were used earlier, gradually gave way to refined Greek-style coins containing legend and the bust of the ruler. This new format became the model for the subsequent coinage in India. Besides, Indians also borrowed from Central Asian, particularly the Greeks' knowledge of astronomy. Early Indian literally works on astronomy frequently quite the Greek astronomers who was referred to as Yav, uh, Yavanacharya. Indians also learned the art of making horoscopes from the Greeks. Central Asian contents brought a fresh web in the art of sculptures, making Buddhist sculptures uh, of the Gandhara school, as explained here below, evolved as a result of the amalgamation of the Indian and Greek styles. Emergence of early uh, emergence of early state Odisha and the Deccan. We know that the Deccan as well as eastern India were part of Ashoka Empire. He had conquered Kalinga through a violent battle in which loss of man and property was enormous. It was as a result of the Maurya rule in this region that after its decline, we notice the emergence of kingdoms in Kalinga and the Deccan for the first time in the Indian history. Kalinga. After Ashoka Kalinga, present-day Odisha became prominent under the kings of Chedi dynasty. Unfortunately, we have no information about the kings of the dynasty except uh, Kharavela. His achievements are recorded on an inscriptions known as Hati Guma inscriptions situated in the Udaygiri hills near Bhubaneswar in Orissa. The inscription is so named because the image of an elephant is carved out of stone next to the boulder carrying the inscriptions. The inscriptions tells us that he was a follower of Jainism and had fought many successful battles against his neighbors. He probably lived in first century BC. The Satavahanas uh, Satavahans become prominent in the Indian political scene sometimes in the middle of the first century BC. Gautampatra Satkarni, first century AD, is considered to be in the great Satavahana rules. He is credited with the e- extension of Satavahana domination by defeating Nahapana, the Shaka ruler of Western India. His kingdom is said to have extended from river Krishna in south to river Godavari in north. The Satavanans had their capital at Pratisthana, modern Pathan, near Aurangabad in Maharashtra. The Satavahan kingdom was wiped out in the first quarter of the 3rd century AD, and the Satavahan kings were succeeded by the kings of uh, Ishvaku dynasty. Satavahana polity and administration. Satavahana kingdom was divided into subdivision called Ahara or Rastras, meaning of district. The lowest level of administration was a grama, which was under the charge of or a uh, gramika. There were also officials called Amityasha who were perhaps minister or advisor of the king. Revenue was collected both in cash and king. Satavahan's kings were the first in Indian history to make tax-free land grant of Buddhism and Brahmins to gain religion merit. This practice became more prominent in succeeding periods. The Satavahana kings claimed to be Brahmins and considered it their primary duty to uphold Varna system, the fourfold division of a social structure. Trade and commercial activities, internal and external trade routes. The most important feature of the most modern period was the growth of trade and commerce, both internally as well as externally. There were two major internal and land routes in ancient India, first known as uh, Uttarapatha, connected northern and eastern parts of India with the northwest fringes present-day Pakistan and further beyond, and the second known as Dakshina Patha connected the peninsular India with the western and northern part of India. The Dakshina path was the major route that connected north and south India. It started from Kaushambi near Allahabad and running through Ujjaini, modern Ujjain, extended further up to uh, Bhriguicha or Braj, an important port on western coast. The the Dakshina Patha was further connected with uh, Pratisthana, modern Pathan, the capital of the Satavahans. As regarded external trade routes, after the discovery of monsoons by Hippolytus, a Greek navigator in 45 AD. More and more sea voyages were used for trading uh, purposes. Important ports of India on the western coast were from north to south direction. Uh, Bharuchra, uh, Sapara, Kalyana, Mujila, etc. Cities from these uh, ports cited to the Roman Empire through the Red Sea. Trade with Southeast Asia was conducted through the sea. Prominent port of the eastern coast of India were Tamralpati, West Bengal, Arikamedu, Tamil Nadu coast, etc. Sea trade was also conducted between Bharuksha and the port of Southern Asia. Trade Trade with the West and Central Asia, an important feature of the commercial activity in the post-modern period, was the thriving trade between India and the West, where the Roman Empire was at its height. Initially, this trade was carried out through land, but owing to frequent obstruction created by the uh, Persian who ruled uh, who ruled the area through which these trade routes passed. The focus was shifted to sea routes. Now, now ships could move directly from Indian port to the Red Sea, Persian Gulf. The best account of Indo-Roman trade is made the peripheral of the Erythraean Sea, which was written in the first century AD by um, anonymous author. Main requirement of the Roman were the Indian products such as spices, perfume, jewelry, ivory, and fine textiles. Muslin species exported from India to Roman Empire included people also called Yamuna Priya, perhaps because of its popularity among Romans. The spice trade with the Roman Empire was largely based in South India. Romans also important several precious and semi-precious stones like diamond, uh, carnelian, turquoise, agate, spear, etc. Beside peels, indigo, sandalwood, and steel, etc. Against the import, Romans exported gold and silver into India. It is proved a large number of Roman coins of the first century AD found in the subcontinent. This indicates an enormous vein of gold from the Roman Empire towards India. Other important items of export from the Roman Empire included which is indicated by wine atmosphere and sculpt of Roman ware found in significant number at Arikamedu in South India. Beside the Western trader also brought tin lead, coral, and slave gulls. Crafts and industry. Crafts production started growing in this period with tremendous impetus as a trade and commerce with the in uh, internal and foreign was dependent to great extent on the craft activities. The text called Malinda Malinda Panhu mentioned 75 occupation of which 60 were five occupation 60 were associated with crafts. The level of specialization was very high, and there were separate artisans working in gold, silver, precious stone, etc. Ujjain was prominent bead making center. Textile industry was another prominent industry. Mathura and Vanga, uh, East Bengal were famous for variety of cotton and silk textile. The discovery of some dyeing vats at some site in the South India indicate that dyeing was a thriving craft in the area during this period. The artisan in this period tossed new heights of prosperity, and there are numerous inscriptions which refer to the donation made by artisan to monasteries guides. The communities of merchants were organized in groups known as sherni or guilds under the head called sresti. Sresti. Another type of mercantile group was called sartha, which significant mobile or caravans or trading corporation of inter interregional trader. The leader of such guild was called Sirth, Sirth, Sirthabaha. Like merchant, almost all craft vocational were also organized into build, each under headman called Jasta. These included weavers, dealers, bamboo worker, oil manufacturer, porters, etc. The guilds were basically association of merchant and craftsmen following the same professional uh, following the same uh, following the same professional uh, following the same uh, following the same professional. The guides were basically association with merchant and craftsmen following the same professional or dealing in the same community. They elected their head and framed their own rules regarding prices and quality, etc., to regulate their business on the basis or mutual goodwill. They also served as banks and received deposit from the public on fixed rate of interest. Uh, Art and architecture. Art in the post-modern period was uh, predominantly religion. Uh, two most important features concerning art and architecture of this period are the construction of stupas and development of regional schools of scriptures. Stupas was a large hemispherical dome with a central chamber in which relics of the Buddha or some Buddhist monk were kept in a small casket. The base was surrounded by a path for clockwise circulation, paradosina enclosed by wooden railing, which were later made in stone. Three prominent stupas of this period are at Barhat and Shachi, both MP, which which were originally built by Ashoka, built in Laz later, and Amravati and Nagar Junkoda, both in Andhra Pradesh. The Barhat Stupa in its present form dates in middle of the 2nd century BC. It is important for its sculptures. Its railing are made of red stone. Their big stupas were constructed at Sanchi in this period. The biggest of the three, which was built originally by Emperor Ashoka, who enlarged to twice its size sometimes in the 2nd century BC. A number of stupas were also constructed in South India during this period, but none has survived in its entirely. The Amravati Stupa, situated at Amravati in Andhra Pradesh, took its final shape sometime in the 2nd century AD. The sculptures on stupas are drawn on the themes based on Jataka and other Buddhist story. Rock, rock, rock cut architecture. Apart from stupas, this period also marks progress in rock cut architecture. A large number of temples, halls, and places of residence for monks were cut off the solid rock near Pune and Nashik in Maharashtra under the Shatavahans. The place of worship generally had a shrine shell, um, a, a votive stupa placed in the center. The place was known as a chat- chaitya, and the rock cut structure used as a residence for the monk was called Vihara. Schools of sculptures at the 1st century witnessed the division of Buddhism into parts, uh, Hinayana and Mahayana. Buddhism encouraged Buddha worship as a god in human form. As a result, a large number of Buddha images were built in different regions, were Mathura School of Art, Gandhara School of Art, and Amravati School of Art. The Mathura School, the most prominent contribution of Mathura School to the contemporary art was images of Buddha, which were carved for the first time, perhaps in this art from the Mathura artist used local red stone with black spot to make the images. Mathura has also yielded a large number of sculptures of Jaina deities uh, beside the Agyapats or stone slabs to place object of worship. The Brahminical influence on the art school of Mathura is also evident during the Kushana period. A number of sculptures of Brahminical deities were carved, which included Kartikeya, Vishnu, Kuvera. Thus, the Gandhara school of art. The Gandhara region was situated in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. Uh, this region, this region was successfully ruled by the Greek Maurya Sanghas, Shaks, and Kushana for many countries. The school of art which developed here around the beginning of the Christian era has been called variously as Garco-Roman, Indo-Greek, or Gracio Buddhist. This is perhaps because this school has all the influences Roman, Greek, and Indian. The theme of scriptures in predominantly Buddhist, but the style is Greek. The chief patrons of Gandhara art were the Shak and Kushannaz. The stone used for making idols of Buddha and Bodhisattva was predominantly blue-gray. Axis chief characteristic of Gandhara School of Art lying in its beautiful portrait, portrayal of human figure with distinguished muscles of body. Buddha is depicted with a garment draped in Greco-Roman fashion and with very curly hair. Their beautiful images of the Buddha are ranked among the best pieces of sculptures. The Amravati School of Art. The Amravati School of Art flourished in the region of Andhra Pradesh between the lower valley of river Krishna and Godavari. The main patrons of this art from were the Satavahan, but it carried on even later patronized by their successor Ishkabu rulers. This art is said to have flourished between 150 BC and 350 AD. Sculptures of this school are mainly found on the railing, plinths, and other parts of stupas. The thematic uh, representations include the stories from the life of Buddha. An important characteristic of the Amravati school is the narrative art. The Madonnas were carved in such a manner that they depict an incident in a natural way. For example, one medallion depicts a whole story of taming of an elephant by Buddha. Another important feature of Amravati art is the use of uh, white marble like stone to carve out of the figure. There is a prominence of human figures rather than of natural nature rather than nature. Early history of South India. The Megasthenes culture of South India. The Neolithic phase of South India, which was highlighted by the use of polished stone, akshay, and blade tools, was succeeded by Megasthenian culture 1200 BC to 300 BC. Megasthenes were tomb spots consisting of burial or grave converted uh, with huge mega burial have yielding the first iron object from South India. Beside these, the use of black and red was red ware pottery was also a distinguishing feature of the Megasthenes people. Maharashtra in north to the southern tip of Indian peninsula. Prominent sites that have holding Megasthenes graves include Brahmagiri, Mashti, Karnataka, Adichanur, Tamil Nadu, and Jonapani near Nagpur, Maharashtra. Identical iron tools have been found universally from all the Megasthenes graves. These tools which indicate their craft activities and include arrowheads, uh, daggers, sword, spread head, uh, tridents, battle axe, hawk, plowshare, sickles, etc. These artifacts indicate that the Megasthenes people followed for their livelihood, agro pastoral and hunting activities. The Megastellian people in South India was followed by Sangam age. The Sangam age referred to that period in the early history of South India when large numbers of poems in Tamil were composed by a number of authors. The term Sangam referred to an assembly or meeting together of Tamil poets. Traditionally, the Sangam uh, Sangam or assemblies are believed to have been convinced one after the other. All of three Sangams took place at different places under the patronage of the Pandya kings of Madurai. Poems within the Sangam literature were composed on two broader times. Literature is believed to have been composed between 300 BC and 300 AD. Uh, uh, 300 AD. Aryan marvel feature of Sangam literature is its vivid portrayal of contemporary society and culture of culture of Tamilaham or Tamil region and its peaceful and harmonious interaction with the northern Arya culture. The Tamilaham sticks between the hills of Tirupati and the tip of Kanyakumari. It was divided among a large number of chieftains, and the chieftainship was heredity, and the important chieftains who dominated Tamil region during Sangam age uh, were Cholas. Important Chinese who dominated Tamil region during the were Sangam age were the Cholas with their capital at Uryapur. At Uryapur, the Chiras with their capital at Vanji near Karur, and Pandya was with their capital at Mathurai. The Cholas, Pandyas, and Chairs had several several subordinate chiefs tribute from subordinate chief along with plunder uh, along with plunder were the main source of revenue. There was a frequent conflict between the Chars, Cholas, and the Pandya. It gave a large scope of the Sangam poet to compose poem on war. The whole Tamil in this period was divided into five five tinings or eco zones based on their economic resources. These were these were Kurunji Hills region, Palai. These zones were not clearly demarcated, and were scared all around the region because of their different geographical contexts and ecological specialistic. People in different tenets had their own modes of substances. For example, in Kurunji, it was hunting and gathering. In Palai, where people could not produce anything, they took to raiding and plundering. In Mulai, people practiced animals husbandry. In Marudam, it was plough agriculture, and Naito, people took to fishing and salt making. Through the concept of Varna was known, social classes in the Sangam period were not marked by higher or lower ranking as in North India. For example, Brahmins Brahmins were present in the society, and they performed Vedic ceremonies and sacrifices, and known and known on the basis of their occupation they followed, such as artisan, salt merchant, merchants, etc. The rich lived in well decorated bricks house and wore costly clothes. Whereas the poor lived in huts and had scanty clothes to wear. Heroes occupied a special position in social and memorial stones uh, called Nandukal or Varukal were raised in honor of those who died in fighting, they were uh, and they were worshipping as godly women in the Sangam period appear to have been educated have been educated. This is testified by many poems contributed by women poets to the Sangam literature. Women are also described as engaged in various economic activities such as paddy plantation, cattle rearing, basket making, spinning, etc. However, the cruel practice of sati was also prevalent in Tamil society, and it was known as tipayadal, but it was not obligatory, as there are references to widows present in society. However, their position was miserable, as they were probably habited to decorate themselves or participate in any form of amusement. The people were engaged in various economic activities such as agriculture, craft, and trade. Paddy was the most important crop. It formed the main part of the people's diet, not also served as a medium of barter exchange for inland trade. Since Tamil region doesn't have perennial rivers, the chief, whenever possible, encouraged agriculture activities by making tanks and dams. The Chola kings, uh, Kari- Karikala of Sangam age, is created with constructing a dam on the river Kaveri. It considered to be earliest dam in the country. Among the craft, the most important was spinning and a weaving of textile cotton, as well as a silk. Shalt manufacture was another important activity. The most important feature of Sangam economy was flourishing trade with the Roman world. It is confirmed by the recovery of a large number of Roman gold coins in South India, the discovery of monsoons, and the use of between uh, direct route between Indian coasts and the Western world, as I mentioned earlier, was the main reason for the growth of this trade. It led to rise of important towns and craft center in Tamil region. Vanji, identified with the present day Karur in Tamil Nadu, was the capital of the uh, Cheras, uh, and also important center of trade and craft. Mujis, mm, Cranganero on the southwest coast was the foremost port of the Cheras. We are told that the Roman ships landed with gold used to come here to take back a large amount of people. Uh, Maduri, the capital of Pandyas, is described in the Sangam poem as large city. enclosed by by a wall. It was an important center of fine textile and ivory working. Korkai in the Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu was an important Pandya port. It was famous for its piers, Urayur, Tiruchi- Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu, the capital of the Kolas, was a grand city with magnified uh, building. Kaveri Pattinam or Puhar was the main Kola port. The Sangam poem refers to the busy markets guarded by the soldiers in the field of religion. Sangam period witnessed a close and peaceful interaction between North Indian and South India tradition. The Brahmans who perform there are also reference to the presence of Buddhist and Jainism in Tamil Nadu region, which in northern India came to be identified with Ka- Kartikeya, a war god. In short, the Sangam literature, through its poem on love and emotion, aham, and welfare and society behavior, Puram, on a whole present a picture of political conflict, social inequality, and economic prosperity of early Tamil region during 300 BC to 300 AD. What have you learned? In the post Mauryan period, Sangam succeeds the Maurya is in North India after them in Kunas created it a big empire extending from Central Asia to Varanasi after defeating the Shakas and the Pallavas. Kamishka was the most famous of Kushana rulers. He was a great patron of Buddhism. He convinced the fourth Buddhist council and patronized Gandhara and Mathura schools of art. Internal and external trade grew as a result of his vast empire. In the Deccan, Satyavaha established kingdom between the river Krishna and Godavari with their capital at uh, near Orang, Aurangabad. Trade and commerce reached its height in peninsular India because of the profitable Indo-Roman trade. The Amravati School of Art flourished in the region of Andhra Pradesh under the Neolithic phase in South India was followed by the megalithic culture dated between 1200 BC to 300 BC. The Megastheline graphs have yielding iron object, the black and the red pottery. Megastheline people followed agro pastoral activities for their livelihood. In early history of South India, it deals with the activities of three important chieftains of South India, with the Kolas, the Cheras, and the Pandyas. It presents a vivid description of the contemporary society, economy, and culture of Tamil region.